Hey kiddies, it's Triple Feature Tuesday once again, and this week, Nicolas Cage goes to hell. That's right. These are, three-ish movies in which Nicolas Cage is either trying to get out of, stay away from, or eventually maybe just up and going to hell because of, reasons. And the reasons are usually choices that Nicolas Cage's characters made, and whether or not they were good or bad, and, usually just kind of silly and contrived. But everything tends to work out great, for the audience. In the end of the day, Nicolas Cage in these movies is either going to or, already in hell through half of the stuff. So, our menu is going to include Ghost Riders 1 and 2 as one movie, and I'll explain, Drive Angry, and Mandy. Alright, so the Ghost Rider movies, I'm cheating a little bit and counting them as one movie, because, let's be real, neither of them are the best thing, the ideal Ghost Rider movie we're looking for, but there are parts in both of them that are great, and the parts in the first one that are great are not the parts in the second one that are great, oddly enough. It's kind of fun, because they're so completely different that the second set of directors, Neville Dean and Taylor of Crank fame, when they did Ghost Rider 2 Spirits of Vengeance, they didn't really learn from any mistakes necessarily that Mark Steven Johnson made on the first Ghost Rider movie. So, as you may or may not know, Ghost Rider is about a guy whose head bursts into flames, rides on in an amazing vehicle that's usually on fire somehow, and punches demons in the face. I say vehicle. Traditionally, it was a motorcycle, but then they added like this older cowboy Ghost Rider with a horse, and now the current Ghost Rider, Robbie Reyes, drives a car. It's pretty boss. Nick Cage plays the 70s and early 80s Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, who was a motorcycle carny guy who made a deal with the devil to save his father figure, only for his father figure to up and die in, oddly enough, a carny motorcycle accident. It's weird. It's kind of funny because I really like the versions of it where they play it up as no, the devil had nothing to do with the accident. He just died because motorcycle. So in the first one, Mephistopheles, played by biker movie legend Peter Fonda, tasks Ghost Rider to be his satanic bounty hunter, hunting down his errant son Blackheart and all of his minions who are trying to, oust the devil. And here's the thing. The movie is not good, at all, because this was in what I like to think of as the Silver Age of Marvel movies. It's between Blade and Iron Man, where it's okay, we're taking comic book movies more seriously than just, an action movie with a silly-looking protagonist, and really trying to do something with them. But we're not really embracing just do the thing in the comic yet, which, didn't happen until Iron Man. They tried to make Ghost Rider a superhero in the first one, when he is traditionally just kind of a guy riding around trying to figure out a way out of his own deal with the devil while encountering monsters. He's a horror comic book character. And while he has superpowers, he is not a superhero, and it made the tone of the movie completely terrible. However, the saving grace of the film is half of the movie is Nicolas Cage doing his crazy Elvis impersonation, and half of the movie is him with his head on fire, again, punching demons in the face. And honestly, even though it's not a good movie, if you couldn't find something to enjoy in it, I say that's you failing the movie more than the movie is failing you. Plus, there are some really spectacular visuals, and, at the end of the day, Ghost Rider is more I really want to watch a demon with his head, with a flaming motorcycle comic than, thoughtful, introspective, examinations of the human condition. Happily, when the Crank guys took over for Spirits of Vengeance, they chucked all the superhero shit. It is much more of a horror action movie where Johnny Blage, not Nick Cage. Fun fact, Nick Cage, his real name is Nicholas Coppola. He is one of those Coppolas. And his stage name, Cage, is taken from Luke Cage. Because, if nothing else, Nicolas Cage loves comic books. I believe one of his children is actually named either Kal-El or Jor-El, which is just amazing. And I'm probably not going to go into too much go into too much depth about this, but Nicolas Cage is amazing in everything. Even if you think he's just phoning it in and being stupid, he is still always bringing something interesting. And the issue is not that he picks bad movies. The issue is that he keeps buying castles and can't say no when people offer him money because he can't afford to. Which, in a roundabout way, leads us back to Ghost Rider Spirits of Vengeance, which is one of those sequels that barely made it onto the screen and is filmed entirely in Eastern Europe for money reasons. But it does have Nicolas Cage and Idris Elba and a, not underutilized, but underappreciated Violente Placido, who was George Clooney's girlfriend in The American and just spectacular in that, and I'd love to see her in more things. But it also has like random appearances by Christopher Lambert and a definitely underutilized Kieran Hines as our new version of the devil. Soft recon. It's not Peter Funn anymore. It's Kieran Hines, and it's a different sort of deal. But either way, Johnny is no longer talking like Elvis. He's got a much better hairpiece. He is no longer drinking jelly beans and whole pots of coffee. He's drinking alcohol because everything sucks, and he's in Eastern Europe. He doesn't have the chopper anymore. He's got a different motorcycle, which still looks cool, and he is just... The look of Ghost Rider in this one is so much nicer. Like in the first one, it's very clean, kind of just they went for a comic book look. This one, he is melting. Like it looks like a guy is on fire and his leather clothes are perpetually melting. He's got smoke coming off of his head in addition to the fire, and that's before you even get into like how good he looks in the daylight, which I couldn't believe when you get to the end and there's all the daylight sequences and they look great. So Neville Dean and Taylor. A lot better action, a lot more inventive in terms of filming the action sequences and just getting up all in there, but much more embracing the silliness. This was after the Marvel Cinematic Universe proper started, and so we're definitely embracing more comic book shit. So we have Ghost Rider, like, at times pissing fire and spitting out melted bullets after he gets shot, but more importantly, Ghost Rider is just Ghost Ridering things, which for the longest time it was more of a Johnny Blaze is cursed and his motorcycle is cursed, and that's the thing. I want to say that this Ghost Rider movie, the Spirits of Vengeance, was the first time where we introduced the idea that that the Ghost Rider could just Ghost Rider other things. So we see him Ghost Rider a truck, and more spectacularly, an Earth Mover at one point, which by Earth Mover I mean a building-sized chainsaw, which... metal. So, again, all of this is involving Johnny Blaze trying to get out of a deal he made with the devil and, not go to hell for all of eternity, while at the same time riding amazing motorcycles with his head on fire. God damn it, why didn't you people even give these movies a chance? They were fucking amazing. Next up, we have Drive Angry, which was released in between Ghost Riders 1 and 2, and it sort of plays in a lot of ways like, okay, we wanted to do another Ghost Rider movie, but we have no money to do fire effects. So here, directed by Patrick Lussier and written by Todd Farmer, aka the guys that gave us the My Bloody Valentine 3D remake, which if you haven't seen, it's pretty great, even if you don't see it in 3D, but the 3D is a lot of fun. Drive Angry is also in 3D, and while they don't perpetually do "it's coming at you," there are a lot of great 3D gags, because 3D done well is a lot of fun. 3D is best used to just create a better depth of field as opposed to trying to immerse the audience in the film, because actually it just makes you feel even less involved because all the stuff that's flying at you is not actually flying at you. But I digress. John Milton, played by Nick Cage, has escaped from hell, where he has been spending a much-deserved eternity because he was a complete bank-robby, carousing piece of shit. But his daughter was taken in by a cult run by Jonah King, played by Billy Burke, doing his best Billy Drago impression. He has killed Nicolas Cage's daughter and stolen his granddaughter and is going to use her for a satanic ritual to get unlimited power. And Nicolas Cage is not going to let his granddaughter die, so he busts out of hell, grabs a sweet car, really hot Amber Heard babe sidekick, and they're on the run from the devil's accountant and trying to chase down these cult members and get the baby and save the day. And wow, it is even stupider than I'm making it sound when you actually watch it, but it's amazing throughout the whole thing because they know exactly the type of movie they're making and they're having fun with it at every given moment. Like, even Nicolas Cage is just kind of like, I'm playing a very silly character, so I'm going to play him completely deadpan and totally serious. And it works. Nicolas Cage is very controlled in this movie, and it serves the movie very well because he's not supposed to be a bouncing off the wall sort of guy. He is a guy on a mission, and at the end of his mission, he knows he's going right back to hell. But we get these great moments like, I never disrobe before a gunfight, and then a whole gunfight with a naked woman on top of just riding Nick Cage the entire time. Amber Heard, who I'd never really seen in anything other than Zombieland at this point, but she is great. She just kicks all sorts of ass. I've subsequently seen All the Boys Love Mandy Lane, and she's just wonderful. And, you know, fuck Johnny Depp forever. But probably the real surprise of the film was William Fichtner playing the devil's accountant, and why did we never think to give William Fichtner superpowers before? He is delightful as a superpowered bounty hunter type character who is bored with everything on Earth and just wants to go back to hell where he hangs out with the devil. None of this really matters because cars and action and shooting and Tom Atkins with the spoiler shirt and being an asshole, and Nicolas Cage swearing that he will not drink a beer until he can drink it from the skull of his defeated foe, and spoiler alert, it happens, and it's amazing. As opposed to in the Ghost Rider films where Nicolas Cage is trying to stay out of hell, in this one he's much more resigned. He knows he's going back, but he's got to do a thing, and probably is going to break out again once he goes back, because, hey, what are you going to do? Put me back in hell? Who cares? Finally, we have this year's Panos Cosmatos film, Mandy. And this is still in theaters right now. It's not on DVD yet, so spoiler alerts for basically the whole rest of the video, but if you don't care, guys, Mandy. It is as if they took a 70s heavy metal rock album cover and made it a movie. And it's everything you wanted it to be. Mandy and Red, played by Andrea Riseborough and Nicolas Cage respectively, are living an idyllic life in the woods in a cabin that somehow still has electricity, and it's awesome. But, of course, random cult people show up and notice Mandy, and the cult leader, played by just a revelatory performance by Linus Roche. This guy was the bad guy in The Forgotten, evil henchman in Chronicles of Riddick, but more famous for being Batman's dad in Batman Begins, and he was the last assistant attorney, district attorney on the original Law and Order. Linus Roche is incredible in this film as Jeremiah Sand, who is a failed musician turned low-rent cult leader, who just has access to all these random people in this place that I don't know that, like, it takes place entirely on Earth before everything goes really, really crazy. Like, it might be in this kind of, like, weird way station or reality is soft here sort of place. But Jeremiah sees Mandy, determines that he needs Mandy because he's just a selfish cult leader asshole. He enlists the help of the Cenobikers to steal Mandy, which they do. They kill Mandy, which causes Nick Cage to spend the rest of the movie murdering every single one of the people involved in it. And what's great about this movie, and I have seen it twice at this point, so if I've seen it twice and you haven't seen it at all, somebody's not making the effort here, and I will not point. Really, for the first half of the movie, Nicolas Cage is barely in it. Like, he's in a lot of the scenes with Mandy, but he's not really saying anything. He's more just reacting to her, and she is a full character before the horrible, horrible thing happens. And then it's sort of the second half of the movie is about Red's descent into hell. Because, whereas they were in kind of this borderline place, Nick Cage has to go to hell now to kill all of these people. And, at the end of it, he's not leaving hell. Where is there to go? What is there to do? Mandy is dead. But wow, the journey there is astonishing. Nicolas Cage is better in this movie than I've seen him in like 10 years. He looks and like he's got young Nick Cage energy. There are Nicolas Cage freakouts, but they make sense within the film. There's a context for them, and so they're just not Nicolas Caging it for Nicolas Cage's sake. He sets off on this journey of murder, and he like forges himself a heavy metal axe in both, substance and look. And he takes out the Senate bikers, he takes out the cult leaders, he's driving around everywhere. There are surprisingly not as many just crazy non sequiturs as you'd think. There is a tiger, there's cheddar goblin, macaroni and cheese, and a very gaunt looking Bill Duke. But it is a surprisingly linear movie, if not very esoteric and strange. And because it's Panos Cosmatos, who previously directed Beyond the Black Rainbow, the color is incredible, the soundtrack is great. It is borderline a mood piece more than an actual story, because it's a very straightforward story, but you're in it. You feel like you're part of it, which is an achievement because literally every single person, except for one. Oh, there's only, like, after the movie turns into Nick Cage's roaring rampage of revenge, there is literally only one person who's not bug fuck out of their mind on LSD. And it's not Nick Cage. He is on the LSD and the cocaine and everything else. It's astonishing. I mean, okay, here's what you need to know about the tone of the movie and of Nicolas Cage. Panos Cosmatos showed Nicolas Cage one movie to explain what his character is supposed to be like and where he's coming from. That movie was Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, and the character Panos told Nick Cage that he is basically playing is Jason Voorhees. And while Nicolas Cage may not like slasher movies, you can tell it's sunk in because there are a lot of moments where he is just Jason, and it's amazing. God, I need to see it again. Fucking Mandy. God. Nicolas Cage and hell. Oh, and for vehicle-wise, he rides one of the Cenobikers' demonic ATVs. Or it might be a tricycle. I think it's an ATV, but it's great. And there's fire just everywhere. And a chainsaw fight. I didn't even mention the chainsaw fight. Holy fucking shit, Mandy. And Drive Angry. And both of the Ghost Riders. The parts that are good. Otherwise, don't bother with them. Watch all of those. You can take LSD if you need to. Your mileage may vary on that. But I will see you on the next video.